Hello out there, you wonderful people. This is Andre, the Game Idea Guy. Thank you once again for lending me your time and your ear listening into another What If from me. Firstly, I want to apologize for the last 2 weeks. I really didn't have anything. It wasn't because I didn't have anything in my mind. It was just that I got kind of busy with things with work. I kind of just was trying to plow through that stuff, so I kind of like let this fall by the wayside. That's why I did the what if I don't have a what if, and wanted to see if people wanted to give like ideas for stuff I could do quickly. I got a couple likes on the video, but no responses. But that aside, I'm going to work on my Sega Connected Universe what if. This is going to be a multi-parter because I have to break down several individual connections and reasons as to why those connections actually make sense. So, like, and I was having a hard time deciding here too because I wanted to start with Streets of Rage because Streets of Rage 4 is coming out sometime in the next year. But then I thought, why start with that when I could build up to that, like, and work around connecting other stuff. So that might not be until like maybe my third video for this. So just putting that out there so everybody knows. So the first two games I'm going to connect are, well, first two series I'm going to connect, which is worlds, are going to be Shinobi and Virtual Fighter. And people will probably wonder why I would even decide to connect these two worlds, because there's probably not much to connect to them other than the fact that both have ninjas in them. One ninja style uses weapons for combat, another does not. But I mean, it's easy enough to do it, like especially if you've like played Project Cross Zone 2, like, and like everybody in Sega's universe knows Sagata Sanshiro. So I mean, it does make some sort of sense to be able to make it possible to link them. So for me, there's one real detail that stands out, and that's like the whole purpose of the Revenge of Shinobi, the Sega Genesis version of the game. Like if you played the Game Boy Advance game, they are completely different games with completely different plot lines. But in Revenge of the Shinobi, the Revenge of the Shinobi, which is technically Shinobi 2, Joe Musashi was, I believe, trying to rescue his girlfriend. I don't think he was married to her. I think it was just his girlfriend at the time. But his mission for that whole game was to rescue her from Neo Zed. And the thing is, this is like an odd detail, like, and I'm not like, that's why I brought up Project Cross Zone, but like I'll get to that in a moment. There's a detail of her being kidnapped, and like, and I believe she gets killed at the end of the game if you're not quick enough with like blocking the ceiling from falling down on her, and then taking care of Shadow Master. But like I don't think, like, and this might sound odd, but I don't think that she was kidnapped just so she could be killed, and Joe had to chase her down. Now, the story of Kage, I want to say Kage because it's Japanese phonetics, but you could also call him Cage. I just go with Kage because, again, Japanese phonetics, it makes more sense to me. Kage, it was, I believe, trying to find his mother or find out what happened to his mother, and there's some sort of incident that's connected to Dural, the android that you face in Virtual Fighter quite often. So I don't know the exact details of it because I don't remember playing all of those games. I think I've only really played the first three, but I don't remember them giving you much in story as far as what happened. But I do know that Kage was trying to figure out what happened to his mother. He was searching for her. And I believe at one point she was abducted. And it, like I said, it had something to do with Doral. like there was an incident surrounding her, and like he was constantly chasing after Dural, trying to figure out what the link was to his mother. And in Project Cross Zone 2, even though like you can consider it to not be canon to the main universes of the games that the characters come from, it takes place like each character is pulled from a particular place in time in their series. Just like X and Zero in Project Cross Zone are pulled from the X series and not the Zero series, for example. So anything that happened to them up to the point of the end of the X series would, I guess, be canon to those versions of those characters. So with that in mind and having that considered, because it kind of hints towards Dural being Kage's mother. Like it's not something that's necessarily said, but it's definitely hinted at that she could be his mother. Like she was turned into an android or something like that. Like so, with that in mind, I start to think about Neo Zed, and like this, and throughout Shinobi series, they got their hands on some pretty impressive technology. Like it wasn't just like they were just running around using mystic arts and stuff. They actually they used a lot of technology in trying to take out Joe. Like I said, they got their hands on a lot of it. So, well, you had like they were also ninjas. They were shinobi too. So they were trying to take him out with mystical arts as well as technology. And here's what makes me think. Here's the odd connections. Like people probably wonder why I'm making this connection. But I have a feeling that Neo Zed was kidnapping women and using them. Like they were planning, I think they kind of figured out some candidates for a for the program that created Dural. I'm not saying that they were the ones responsible for the program, but they were responsible for procuring those women. In Joe's case, he was able to save his girlfriend before anything happens. I think as far as the canological storyline goes for Shinobi, Joe was able to save her because he does end up having a son. So I do believe Joe saved his girlfriend. He stopped her from being embedded in that process. Whereas Kage, when whatever happened with his mother, he wasn't around to be able to prevent it. And Neo Zed may have taken her after failing to get Joe's girlfriend for the program. See what I'm getting at? Like ninja type village, ninja families or whatever, and like Neo Zed is basically like almost like the evil corporate ninja group or something like that. Like that's how they seem. So making like, and I know that's a stretch of the imagination, but it kind of makes sense if you were to think about it like that. Whereas Joe went hunting them down, he chased after them basically immediately after it happened and got his lady back. Kage couldn't do the same for his mother because he may not have been around. He may have been off training or taking part in a virtual fighter tournament at the same time. He may not have been able to do anything about it. Like that's something to consider. That oh crap! I hate when this happens. Yawn just comes out of nowhere. But it's again, I was just like, for me, that kind of makes sense thinking about it that way. Because there's no, it's again as far as the story goes, and as far as I know, there's not really an explanation as to what exactly happened to her. But there's a way you could draw that conclusion that did happen, and again, somebody's footing the bill for all of Neo Zed's technology, or somebody's giving it to him. It's not like they just showed up with it, it's not like they just showed up and it was there. It was given to them. At least that's my perspective on it. And that would make a lot of sense as to how they could get to some of the stuff that they did, like the Godzilla like mech and all that stuff. Like it's like, and on top of that, they infiltrated the military. So yeah, a lot of that makes sense to me. where they've infiltrated the military, made clone people and stuff like that, and taken over a lot of stuff. They got their hands on a decent bit of technology. So, and I think they got their hands on some pretty advanced tech before getting to the military. And one of those things was leading to that program that created Doral. Um, and I'm trying to think of something else. Because there's a couple other ways I know it can be connected, and I thought about them before, and like now I'm like spacing out on them. But that was the major one I could think of. And yes, the idea was presented in Project Cross Zone, and it makes things a little bit more interesting that way. But it gives you does give you a sense of what could have happened, and an idea of what could have happened, instead of it just being. It wasn't just something I just plucked out the air. Like obviously, the people that work on these games know each other. They consult with each other about things. So, for me, like even though it's not necessarily part of the main continuity. The idea that Doral was snatched away from Kage's village, and that was his mother, and she was turned into this android, and he has no idea of how to take her back or get her back, but he's constantly hunting to find her. Like, it makes sense. I mean, at least from my perspective, it makes sense. I don't think this one's going to be very much longer because, like, I think I've hit the main point, and I don't want to like drag it on too much. So this portion of the what if is going to be done. Thank you guys very much for listening. Keep your eyes and ears up for more stuff from me. And until the next time, enjoy your games, and go ahead and give me your thoughts below. Peace out.